There's no one who loves having fun with food more than Guy Fieri, which is why it might be a surprise to learn that he's dealt with some difficult times. The mayor of Flavortown has experienced no shortage of pain and loss throughout his life. College marked a turning point in Guy Fieri's life, not primarily from an educational standpoint, but due to a tragic incident that opened the future restaurateur's eyes to some hard truths. As Fieri revealed on Now What with Brooke Shields, he was 19 and attending the University of Nevada in Las Vegas when he was involved in a car accident that left one of his friends dead. As he put it, "I wasn't driving, I was in the back seat, and unfortunately, I was with a bunch of guys and we were drinking. A car chase ensued, with cops hot on the boys' trail. The vehicle Fieri was in eventually flipped over, killing the person who was sitting beside him. Fieri didn't just end up in the hospital, he was also accused of driving the car, which led the police to arrest him briefly. Although the situation with the cops was settled before long, Fieri's father didn't let him off as easily and gave him an earful about the importance of staying grounded. It was a wake-up call for Fieri, who said, "Okay, my family didn't have any money. I'm not the smartest kid, but if I'm going to win, I'm going to win based upon how hard I play and how disciplined I am."
To me, second place is the first loser.
Guy Fieri was acquainted with some of life's hardest truths at an early age, having witnessed his younger sister Morgan suffer from cancer starting when she was only 4 years old. Though it went into remission during her teens, tragedy reared its head even more ferociously in her late 30s when she was diagnosed with melanoma. Morgan declined chemotherapy owing to personal beliefs and died in 2011 at the age of 38. Fieri told GQ, "Losing my sister to cancer was the worst thing in the world, man." The event marked a turning point in the celebrity chef's life, and though he admitted to feeling angry about Morgan's death when it happened, it also taught him resilience. He told People magazine, "When you watch your mom and dad bury their kid and still get up and go live their life, I don't know that I have that kind of strength as a person." Fieri's personal experiences have inspired him to help families affected by cancer in collaboration with Make-A-Wish Foundation, which honored him with the Chris Gracious Award. As he said to Delish, "It's the greatest award I've ever received." In 2011, Guy Fieri was just coming to terms with the death of his sister Morgan when his family found itself in a legal tug-of-war over who would get custody of the child who survived her. Morgan shared her son Jules with her husband Dane Pape, who got custody of the then 11-year-old after a ruling in Marin County, according to TMZ. Fieri's parents had reportedly sought custody of their grandchild, citing Pape's lack of means to care for Jules. Although the court favored Pape, he was not immediately able to take home his child, as Jules had accompanied Fieri to a remote vacation spot in Northern California where network services didn't reach. The legal back and forth didn't restrict Fieri and his nephew's relationship from strengthening over the years. As seen on his Instagram, Jules spent a great deal of time with the whole Fieri family, including his cousins and grandparents. He holds a degree from California State University, San Marcos, and aspires to make it big in the music industry. Fieri has always encouraged Jules, as well as his sons Hunter and Ryder, to seek independent success outside of the Flavortown empire.
And I told my boys, none of this that I've been building are you going to get unless you come and take it from me.
Too many cooks may or may not spoil the broth, but they could end up making it more bitter than it needs to be. As a key figure in the American culinary circuit, Guy Fieri has remained a constant target of criticism, most notably from fellow food critics. Famously profound cooking legend Anthony Bourdain was unabashed in his disregard for Fieri, who stood in stark contrast to Bourdain's restrained personality with his larger-than-life character. The Parts Unknown star once told Adweek, "I find Guy Fieri a rich and deep vein of comedy. There's no doubt about it, and he's worthy of a solid and maybe relentless mocking as anyone who has made his sartorial choices deserves." Bourdain's feelings about Fieri were widely understood to have stemmed from his distaste for massy, entertainment-focused productions. That was a sentiment restaurateur David Chang echoed back in 2009 at a food festival in New York, where he used some choice expletives to deride Fieri's particular brand of cooking. Fieri did not endure the criticism quietly, hitting back frequently in interviews. He admitted that the hate got to him sometimes, but he seemed to grow a thicker skin, telling Parade, "I'm not going to make everybody happy, and anybody who wants to hate is going to hate. You have to be confident in who you are and what you're doing." During his time as a VIP in the entertainment world, Guy Fieri has accumulated a star-studded social circle in which he has loved and lost many friends. In 2019, he had to bid farewell to fellow restaurateur and Food Network regular Carl Ruiz, who died of a cardiovascular disease in his sleep. Ruiz had established himself as a celebrity chef in his own right, but it was his appearance on an episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives that launched him to fame in 2013.
This is like culinary Disneyland, and this is Goofy.
Hello!
Fieri's tribute post to Ruiz on social media read in part, "Over the years, I've met a lot of great people, but a friend like Carl is one in 100 million. Fieri also grieved the death of Smash Mouth singer Steve Harwell in 2023. Harwell's career, which was at its peak in the 1990s and early 2000s, had declined after a string of physical and mental health issues affected his ability to perform. During the final stage of his life, the California native had been in hospice care and was dealing with liver failure. On Instagram, Fieri posted a touching tribute to the late musician, with whom he didn't share just a great friendship, but also an uncanny resemblance. He wrote simply, "Today is a sad day. I will miss my friend." Even though he's been behind the wheel for over a decade on diners, drive-ins, and dives, Guy Fieri hasn't always had the best luck with cars. Years after the accident of his youth, Fieri faced another setback in 2011 when a vehicle from his luxury fleet was stolen by a teenager. Max Wade, who was 16 at the time of the robbery, broke into a car dealership in California where Fieri's $200,000 Lamborghini Gallardo was being serviced and made off with it. Rather than sell the car and run the likely risk of it being traced back to Fieri, Wade kept the car in storage in Point Richmond, taking it out for a spin every now and then. Fieri joked that he didn't quite believe it when people would tell him about their sightings.
I had friends call me and say, "Listen, I just saw your car on the freeway." And I'm like, believe it or not, there's more than one yellow convertible Lamborghini, probably in Northern California.
But sure enough, he was surprised to learn that it was the very same car.
Well, to come find out, that he was driving it, brave kid.
It took a year for authorities to track down Fieri's car thief, albeit for a different crime. In 2012, Wade opened fire on a vehicle containing a teen couple. He was reportedly infatuated with the female passenger, who managed to escape the attack with her boyfriend with only minor injuries. The shooting case led investigators to Wade's storage facility, where Fieri's luxury ride was found. Wade was sentenced to 16 months in prison for stealing Fieri's car, but it didn't quite matter because he also got a life sentence for the attempted murder of the couple. With great fame comes great scrutiny and often an even greater probability of run-ins with the law. Guy Fieri is probably all too familiar with this idea, as every time the restaurateur moves some pieces around in his food empire, the ripple effect it causes isn't always in his favor. When he decided to shutter his beloved California restaurant chain Johnny Garlic's in 2015, he was met with legal resistance from his business partner Steve Gruber. Unwilling to discontinue the brand he co-founded with Fieri in 1996, Gruber sued the celebrity chef and sought to buy out his shares in the company. A tussle ensued for months over the value of Fieri's shares before the matter was settled and Gruber took sole ownership. As fate would have it, though, Johnny Garlic's shut up shop in 2018. Downtown Flavortown, another Fieri food brand in Tennessee, was slapped with a lawsuit in 2022 for alleged labor law violations and mistreatment of staff. Allegations of anti-Semitism, sexism, and homophobia also persist around Fieri, courtesy of a lawsuit from 2011. Food Network and David Page, the ex-producer of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, were caught in a legal battle that hinged on an alleged breach of contract and made troubling revelations about the workplace conditions on Fieri's show. Page told the Star Tribune about Fieri after the case was settled, saying, "As happens to many instant celebrities, he pretty quickly decided he no longer wanted to be produced or directed." In 2012, California darling Guy Fieri tried to wedge his way into New York's formidable culinary scene. His attempt took the form of an extravagant restaurant called Guy's American Kitchen and Bar that, given Fieri's growing television celebrity, seemed promising. When the 500-seater gastronomic hotspot opened its doors in Times Square, it sure made an impact, just not in the best way. Any kind words visitors might have had to spare for Fieri's giant eatery were overshadowed by food critic Pete Wells's unforgettable takedown of it in the New York Times. The piece, which started off asking whether or not Fieri had actually eaten at his own restaurant, became a viral sensation by rattling off a series of inflammatory questions. One section reads, "Hey, did you try that blue drink? The one that glows like nuclear waste? The watermelon margarita? Any idea why it tastes like some combination of radiator fluid and formaldehyde?" Responding to the criticism, Fieri told Today that Wells's piece seemed motivated by an agenda to go after a non-local chef. He defended his business venture by saying, "This is more heart and soul. This is not just a name stamp."
Who said awesome? Who said they went to Guy's American? It was awesome.
Me?
You did? Okay, come on. You have to go with me. We're going to go for a car right now.
The restaurant pushed through and was reportedly raking in up to $17 million, but that still wasn't enough to keep its place in one of New York's most desirable locations. It permanently shut down in 2017. When it started out in the 1990s, Food Network was a revelation. It opened the doors for millions of Americans to discover and indulge their taste for cooking shows, learning from legendary chefs in the convenience of their own homes. The channel quickly built up an impressive roster of celebrity names, including Emeril Lagasse, Ina Garten, Bobby Flay, and Anthony Bourdain, eventually finding Fieri in 2006. After winning Food Network Star that year, Guy Fieri shot up the ranks and, with several shows under his belt, became one of the faces of the channel. While Food Network viewed him as a valuable asset, many took exception to the commercial direction culinary TV took after Fieri's introduction to the lineup. Former stars like Bourdain were unreserved in their criticism of the network and its new strain of celebrity chefs who were less known for their abilities in the kitchen and more known for their bombastic personalities. Post-2010, the network's relevance came into further question when Forbes noted a ratings drop. Journalist Alan Salkin, author of From Scratch, The Uncensored History of the Food Network, stated, "The network doesn't know where to go and has lost its courage." For many, the supposed decline boiled down to the channel's spiky-haired figurehead, despite the scorn of culinary elites. Nevertheless, Fieri remains Food Network's highest-paid star, with a $100 million deal to his name as of 2023.